Hi guys, this is lesson 9-4, solving quadratic equations using square roots. So before I start with the examples, I want to remind you to remember your rules of solving equations. The golden rule of algebra, opposite operations, those kind of things, because all of those still apply. We're just adding now the square root operation. So we need to recognize that when we have something being squared, the opposite or undoing of that action would be to take the square root of it so that we can still isolate the variable and solve the equations. And this helps with quadratics because solving for x really is the same thing as getting the solution in terms of a graph. When we solve for x, we know where the parabola hits the x-axis or doesn't hit. Or where it hits 2 times or 1 time, right? Different types of solutions to review from the prior lessons. So I'm gonna do 4 examples and solve these with you, and this should help you on your homework. So first one is x squared equals 49. Anytime, the only thing that's stopping us from isolating this x is that squared, right? So like I said before, the opposite of squaring something is square rooting. So if we take the square root of both sides, we get x by itself, and that's what we want. And the square root of 49 is 7. But remember, it's also -7 because 7 times 7 is 49, and -7 times -7 is also positive 49. You can either write that like this, 7 and -7 with a comma, or sometimes it's written plus or minus 7, meaning positive 7 and -7. This example, now we have one other step that we have to do. Oh, and I can draw my railroad lines to see clearly both sides of the equation so we can follow that golden rule. So x squared minus 36 equals 0. First thing I'm going to do to get rid of this -36 is add 36 to both sides. Remember, we're always trying to get our x by itself. So I'd have x squared on this side equals positive 36. And again, we have to take the square root of both sides now, and we get x equals plus or minus 6. Highlight my answers here. Sometimes we'll have a coefficient too with the x term. Still solving an equation, first step is still going to be like the last one. For this one, we have a -50. The opposite of that would be to add 50 to both sides. So we get 50 and then 2x squared over here. Now, this 2 right here, this coefficient is being multiplied to that x squared. So the opposite of multiplication is division. Yep, you got it. So if we divide by 2 on both sides, following the golden rule, whatever I do to this side, I have to do to this side, we get x squared. This cancels out. We get x squared over here, and then 50 divided by 2 would be 25. And again, that last step is going to be taking the square root of each side to get x by itself, and we get plus or minus 5. But let's see what happens. I've changed this equation really similar to this one, but now I have 2x squared plus 50. So let's see what happens. I'm going to divide my sides again. This time I have to minus 50, opposite of addition. So I have to minus 50 on this side. So I get 2x squared equals -50. Now I have to divide by 2 to each side, and I get x squared equals -25. And again, last step, taking the square root of both sides. But if you guys remember from one of my last videos, what happens when we take the square root of a negative number? Well, it becomes imaginary. So what does that mean in terms of a solution for a quadratic? It means no solution, meaning that graph for this equation does not cross the x-axis. So this would be no solution. All right, good luck on the homework.